Okay, if we recollect the last session, we have seen how to create the integrations, and we have seen a couple of properties like action items, invokes, and collection items and notifications and all. And we have seen how to create a simple integration with the logs and comments, and how to use the scope with the scope and without scope. What is the integration status, and how to handle the errors, and how to handle these errors, how to catch the errors at runtime. Just we have seen, right? And how to use the user defined exceptions without user defined exception, and with the user defined exception, how will you get an exceptions, and how to catch the same with help of the scope we have seen. And we have seen the global fault. If there is no exception is handled in your integration, then exception will go to the global fault. There you can need to handle your runtime exception. So always better to, when you create a development in integration, your entire integration in a scope, and inside the scope you can create multiple scopes wherever you feel there is an error. There is a possibility to get an error. You need to create a scope and handle the error the same. Okay. So anyone get any issues while practicing up to whichever we have discussed so far? Did anyone get chance to work on these integrations, at least for to print a log statement and use this, switch case, if else, and this?
Yeah, sometimes
Sir, done.
integration gets corrupted. That's what I experienced in Chrome. In the sense, I tried to delete the variables, and later on I couldn't create new variables. So I used Edge for that. So I'm not sure why that. Yeah, I'm not.
Not sure. There is no issue with application. Since 1 year I am using this application, I don't see such type of issues. Maybe the your system might be.
Yeah, maybe. So I used Edge, and then I was able to add the variable.
Okay.
When I say corrupted, it hanged basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, no issues.
Yeah.
At last you are achieved, right? Whichever you are expecting.
Yeah. In Edge, I could complete everything.
Okay. Still anyone has any issues? Sripad, did you practice at least whichever we discussed so far?
Yeah, Vijay, I also tried. I tried simple integration, so
yeah, okay. You got the results, right?
not complex, yeah.
Yeah, not the
Logger
complex,
and also.
Yeah, logger and switch case.
Yeah.
Switch case, user defined exception, the scope, with scope and without scope. Shinde, Priya, Ashwini, did you get a chance to practice, especially junior guys?
Yes, sir, successfully done all.
Yeah, no issues, no doubts, right? So far?
Yes, sir. Come again.
No issues, no doubts.
No, sir. No issues.
Everything is pretty clear.
Everything is better.
Okay. Then. Oh. Now there is our report. So this is our integration, right? Last time just we are uploaded one file to the FTP server. This is my FTP server, 2 files, and we are trying to download the files, or we are trying to listing the files by using FTP adapter. So what are the operations we have been used in order to list the files? Anyone? For an FTP adapter, what are the operations we have been used in order to list the files?
We have created the connection against the adapter, sir.
What is my question? What are the operations we have been used in order to list the files from your FTP adapter? Here we are used FTP connection, right? So what are the operations we have been used? Can anyone provide possible operation names for your FTP adapters? FTP adapter possible operations.
Count name, file name.
If you are practiced, then you can easily get to know. So the way no one is practice, right? No one is practice yet. The reason I given 2 days, especially for this integration.
Vijay Jayaprakash,
Yeah, Jay.
we have already practiced like that, read file, write file, and
Yeah, read file, write file, and what are the,
delete file.
so what is the operation for this list files? Guys, did you practice this integration especially? No? Okay, for the list file operation, nothing but list file, yeah, which is the name we do have, right? List files, we have used an operation which is list files. Here the operation is list files. So what is the significance of list files? Anyone? What is the outcome?
It will show the count with the file name.
It will show all the file names with the file.
With file count.
So here you will get a response like your file names and your file count. File names is nothing but within the loop. Sorry, the file names you will get a multiple nodes and you will get a file count. So the way we are displayed here, file count, right? Now we'll try to enhance this integration. So as of now, we are hard coded here the file name pattern and the input directory. As of now, we are hard coded file name pattern and input directory. So I don't want to be hard code this input directory and the file name pattern, the connection level. Just provide a slash here, nothing but this is a blank value representation. When you provide a slash here, nothing but there is no value here. Just click on the next and then. So there is a request mapper is available. Just try to open the request mapper. When the request mapper is become white here, the circle is showing as a white color, nothing but as of now, this is not being used. When you update your list mapper with some values, this mapper, when you update with some values, then the white circle will filled with a blue circle. Nothing but the representation is something data in there in your mapper. So as of now, there is no data in your mapper. Just try to edit the same. So I'm trying to map the input mapper and input directory and file name pattern at your mapper level. This is file name pattern, the directory. Just right click and create target node. And there is a right side, you can just switch to developer view, just click on the same so that it's editable. So what is the file name pattern? Just go to here, something file name pattern test data. Star.csv. Whichever file is started with test data and followed by some name, which is star.csv. Just right click here so that it will save your work. Now this file name pattern value is test data star.csv. And what is the directory? Right click and create target node. And this is my directory. Just copy the same. In a single quotes, just add it. This is we are called as a hard code values. As of now, we are hard coding the values from your connection level to mapper level. Very first time we are hard coded this value your connection level. Now we are deleted that. Simply we are adding the blank values with the representation of slash, and we are adding this the same values at the mapper level. Okay, just click on the validate. And close it. The save and try to run the integration. Now see, this is filled with a blue color. Circle is filled with a blue color, nothing but it's mapped. Just close it. Try to activate the integration, enable tracing, include payload and activate it. Just submit now. Nothing but an ad hoc base, we are trying to submit this integration. Just click on the hyperlink. It will navigate to tracking monitoring screen, and this is got succeeded. Just try to open the diagram flow, runtime flow, and click on the view activity stream so that you can see the complete flow here. So this is a scope, data mapping computed from message to message. Nothing. This is a mapping, which is list files. So always source will not be open. You can focus on the target. Just click on the target message. You can see the mappers here. Here list request mapper, FTP list header, file name pattern, you are mapped as test data start.csv. The directory is gp10. This is your mapped values. And with this map values, it will send the request to your list files. Message sent to the list files. So what is the message it sent? The same message. This is file name pattern. This is directory. So once it is executed, you are getting a response, which is message received from the list files. The response here, it could be file count is 2. In the file list, you will have 2 nodes, directory and the file name, and directory and the file name. Data CSV, data1.csv. Okay. Okay, now we'll move on this. As of now, we are hard coded these values at mapper level, right? I don't want to hard code these values at mapper level. I want to hard code at a variable level. Okay, just open this variable, create 2 variables here. Variable file name pattern. So the file name pattern is something test data.csv or something star.csv, whichever you want. Star.csv is nothing but whichever all the file names we are trying to get all the CSV files. We create one more variable input directory. So input directory is something /gp10. I'm trying to hard code the values here. Now what you will do, you can provide these mappings to, you can map your variables to your list files mapper instead of hard code values. List request, FTP list header, right click, delete target node. So it will complete the mapping and it will create a new element here, same as your request. Now the left side, you can see the variables here. This is file name pattern, drag and drop to the file name pattern. This is input directory, drag and drop to the input directory. Now these values will be mapped to this target side. Okay, source values can be mapped to target side. Okay, now as of now we have seen 3 levels: connection level, mapper level, and your variable level. Now, so as of now we are hard coded the variable level. In future, if client wants to send this location name, or if client wants to change this file names, okay, client wants to change something, as of now we are hard coded test data star.csv, right? Okay, in future client wants to change XX test data. Obviously integration should fail, right? It won't pick the files. Or if client wants to change this input file location from GP10 to something GP11. So it's not possible to every time update your edit the integration or deactivate the integration and update your integration, it's not a good practice, right? So instead of hard coding the values here at the variable level, I am trying to maintain these two input directory and the file name pattern in one of the lookup, in one of the custom lookup. From the custom lookup, I'm trying to derive this variable name, variable your file name pattern and input directory from the lookup. If any changes would be happen for these two entities, for input directory and your file name pattern, simply you can update your lookup instead of integration. Getting? Now open one more session here. Try to create a lookup. This is integrations. This is the lookups. Just click on the create GP10 file path, GP10 file path. Just click on the create. So here domain name something integration name, just I'm adding. Just click on OK. This is my integration name is GP10 file integration. Okay. And copy this value. And edit domain 2. Here file path. Click on OK. And create one more column here. Just click on the right side. Edit domain name. Here file directory. Just click on OK. So my file path is something. File path directory same, right? Here you can change to file name, file pattern. So my file pattern is something star.csv or test. It is test data, right? Test data star.csv. The file directory is /gp. Just save it. If you want to add multiple rows, you can add here. There is a add row. This is add column, right side. Now I have a lookup which is GP10 file path. In this lookup, I have 3 columns are available: integration name, file pattern, and the file directory. In my integration, create a variable. In the integration, create a variable assigned with the variable name is GP10 file integration. Now you can compare the value. If my integration name value is this GP10 file integration, try to get the file pattern value. The same way, try to get the file directory value. Now we'll try to achieve the same here. Open the variable. Create a variable here. If it is one-time usage, no need to create a variable. If you want to use this lookup as a multiple times, obviously you need to create a variable. Variable integration name. Just try to hard code the same value here, whichever we hard coded. Now you can compare your lookup with this variable value and try to get the desired value. Now you can shuffle to the right upside here, move up. Validate. Again, move up. Just validate. So now this is my integration name. Now open the file name pattern expression builder. Delete everything here and try to get this your file pattern from your lookup. Okay. So here in the component section, just search with a lookup. Search with a lookup, you will see the lookup value. Okay, just drag and drop the lookup value here, expression. It will open your lookup screen. This is GP10 file path. This is your lookup. It has 3 columns. Just click on the next. Here the source column and the target column. Always you need to consider, or you need to compare only a single column. Always it won't possible to get a multiple columns. Same as your decode functionality. Same as your decode. So what is your source column? My source column is integration name. So with help of integration name, what you are trying to get it in the target column. With help of this integration name, I'm trying to get the file pattern. Okay, just click on the next. And if this condition is not meet, if the condition is false, so what are the default value you need to pass? I'm trying to pass something not applicable. Just click on the next. Here, this is summary. This is your lookup table. The source column is integration name. And the source value. Note, the value for this parameter should be set in the editor. Okay. And the target column file pattern and the default value is null. Just click on the done. Copy the same and try to evaluate here. Decode of your column is something integration name. If the integration name is something GP10 integration, then I'm trying to get my file pattern. Otherwise, not applicable. The same functionality here. Decode of integration. This is your column name. This column name is nothing but my lookup column name. And this my hard code value. I'm trying to compare this value, GP10 integration. Same this value we are holding in one of the variable that is called source value. You need to set it from your integration. This is source value. So what is the source value here? Just delete the same here source value and you can get it from your variable. This is out of scope, right? Integration name. Okay, within the variable, it's not acceptable. Okay. This is a variable name, right? This is file pattern. Variable integration name. Just drag and drop to here in the place of source value. This is your variable and this is your source value. This source value need to set in your integration. Nothing but this variable hold this your variable name. As of now, we are assigned this variable name, right? Which is GP10 integration. In this lookup, if this value is available, in this lookup, if this value is available, I want to get file pattern value. Same here. If my integration name is GP file integration, I'm trying to get this file pattern value, which is tested data star.csv. The same here we are trying to achieve. Same as your decode. Okay, just copy the same and validate it. Same here. In this lookup, if the integration name is so and so value, I'm trying to get the file pattern. If there is no values available with this file integration name, just pass in a default value which is not applicable. Just close it. Same way you can get it from input directory as well. Just remove the same and lookup. Just drag and drop. It will open the lookup screen. File path, click on the next, and the source column, again integration name and the target. Instead of file pattern, just try to get the file directory. Just here by default, you can see the 5 records here by default, which is sample data. Just click on the next. If it is not available, NA, whichever value you want, you can. And the source value, you can set it from your integration level. Just click on OK. Remove the source value, or you can get it variable integration. This is my variable and set it here. By default, it will replace source value with your target value. Just validate. Okay, and close the same. Now, instead of hard codes, I am trying to get the values from the lookup. All the hard codes are maintaining at your lookup level. In future, if you want to change anything, simply you can change the lookup. That's it. No need to touch your integration. No need to edit or no need to deactivate your integration. Integration remains same. Simply you can change your lookup entries. That's it. So that your integration will be dragged. Just try to close the same and run the integration. So if you see here, this is triggered with a message. Message received by assignment demo integration. Just click on the message here. You can see the variables here. Variable name something, variable integration name assigned with our hardcode value, and variable file name pattern test data star.csv, and variable input directory, which is /jp10. So we are trying to get these two values from the lookups. So what is the indirectly, what is the giant condition between your lookup and your integration here? What is the common value between these two? Anyone?
Integration.
Variable integration name. Okay. Simply we are evaluating with this integration name value and try to get the desired values. So any doubts, any clarifications for the lookups? This concept is clear for everyone, for lookups especially. For all the integrations, try to avoid the hard codes and try to get these values from the lookup.
Vijay, I mean, my SFTP details also can change, right? Over a period of time. So can we make that as also?
No, that is we cannot. That is
okay.
Always you need to go to the connection level and update your configuration details.
Okay.
Okay. Still, anybody has any questions for these lookups? Hope everyone is clear. Okay. Now, so as of now, we are listing the files and try to get the file name and file count, right? Now we'll try to print your file data. Print the file data. We'll see how to print the same. This is list of files. So what is the response for the list of files for the file names? It's 1 or 2. As of now, how many nodes we are getting for the files? As of now, as a response? Anyone? How many files we are getting as a response as of now?
2 files.
2 files. As of now, we are getting 2 XML nodes, right? So two XML nodes, nothing but we do have more than one node. If you have more than one node, obviously you need to create a loop, for loop. The actions, there is a for loop is available. Just click, drag and drop the file for loop and add the for loop for your list files response. This is list files and this is list files response. Always need to consider only responses for your action items, not the request. Always you need to consider the response. Okay, this is a list response. Expand it. This is file list. This is load more, and this is file. So this the representation is nothing but repeating element. Less than, a greater than, and horizontal two lines are available, right? The symbol we call as a repeating element. Always you need to add a for loop for a repeating element. If you see the same representation, less than, greater than, single element. This is single element node. This is multiple element node. Just drag and drop multiple element node to the repeating element here. Nothing but for I in so on, so you are representing in a PL SQL, right? The same concept here also. This is repeating node. When you expand here, you can see file node elements here. The same. So here also, when you add a for loop, against the for loop, you can see all these columns. Now we can define the for loop name. Each file rec. Same as your for I in X, for I in cursor. In your simple SQL statement, you are using the for loops, right? By using cursor. The same concept here also, just we are defining the for loop. This is current element name is nothing but for this for loop, you can see all these columns. Just click on the create. This is my for loop. Just click on the redraw. So everything would be proper position. Now, so as of now, yeah. So if you want to print a file name, just add a logger here. Something file. As of now, we are printed only file count, right? Right now, I'm trying to printing the file name. Always enable here. This is my for loop for each file rec. This is file node. Now this is a single node in a for loop. So this is my file name. Just validate, drag and drop the file name and close it. So what it will do? It will try to print the two files in a for loop. Just test it. If you see, this is a list of all iterations is two. Two iterations has happened. Now if you see, you can see the two iterations data here. This is iteration. Message received from the list of files. Immediately we are added a for loop. Just expand the same. You can see iteration 1. The log message is test data.csv. Iteration 2. Log message is test data1 csv. You can see the payload here. The complete payload. Directory, file name, last modified time, creation name, and size. From here, we are trying to print file name. The same file name is printing here. This is complete your for loop data. From this for loop data, we are trying to print the log message. Okay. Now, as of now, we are printing the files. So in order to read the data, first I need to download the file to the OIC temporary buffer area. In order to read the data, you need to download the file to the temporary buffer area. Okay, so as of now, you have the file name with you. Okay, so here, take an FTP connection again. This is my FTP. Or you can search here. There are a number of what is our GP 10 or 11?
11.
Okay. This is GP11 FTP. And download the file. Click on the next. You can use select operation instead of list. You can use download a file. Download a file. Input directory and the file name, it's become optional here. There is no star symbol is available. If it is star symbol, it's mandatory. So download directory. I'm trying to download one of the temporary directory, which is temp download. This is indirectly your PL SQL cursor temporary buffer area. It will create a folder within the integration at the runtime, temporary download, and it will try to download the file to this folder. Okay. Just click on the next. As of now, I'm trying to keep the blank input directory and the file name here. Next, I'm trying to fill those values at the mapper level.
Vijay, temp/temp download, which is the correct?
/temps, you can add any file, any name.
No, as per my knowledge, previously I have my previous video, you informed that /temp, not /download.
That not only /temp, /download, /x also you can define anything. It just start with a slash. Okay. It's not should be /temp. It's not. It should be /download. Just you can add any file name, any folder name, which is user defined. That is up to you. So this is my download file. This is my mapper. So for this mapper, I need file name and the file directory, right? You have the file name, the file directory in your for loop. Just you can map file name, file directory for your request mapper for the download. Expand the download file request mapper. This is download request. This is file name and the directory. Already we are a hard-coded download directory. Just ignore this. Now you need file name and directory. Already you have these two values in your for loop. Where is my file? This is my for loop file. This is my directory. And this is my file name. Just validate it. Okay. And then close the same. So what it will do, it will try to download the file in a temporary folder, which is /temp/download. Okay. As a response, what you will get, simply whichever your file in FTP server, the file in your temporary folder, which is /temp/download. Okay. Now it's time to read the data. It's time to read the data from your temporary folder. Okay. So for that, in order to read the data, there is a stage file is available. Stage file is especially in order to perform your temporary folder activities. Temporary folder file activities like the same read, write, zip, unzip, and the list files. The same read, write, zip, and unzip. Okay. Drag and drop the stage file here. Read the file. Just click on the next. Here I have these many operations for our stage file. Read entire file, read file in segments, write file, zip files, unzip file, encrypt, decrypt, and the list files. These are the operations are available. So read entire file is nothing but it will try to read complete data in your file. Read file in segments is nothing but it will try to read the data greater than 10 MB. The read entire file can be support to read the data for only 10 MB. If the file size data is 10 MB, greater than 10 MB, obviously need to use read file in segments. If you use read entire file for your greater than 10 MB file, you will get an issue payload threshold issue. The file size is less than 10 MB, you can go for read entire file. If the file size is greater than 10 MB, you can go for read file in segments. So what the significance of segments is nothing but it will try to read the data which is 200 records as a set from your file. 200 records as a set. Whereas read entire file, it will try to dump the, it will try to read the data as an entire records, not the 200 records. Okay. This is read entire file. As of now, select the read entire file. And what is the specify the file name and specify the directory to read the from. So what is the directory to read the from? As of now, file is in which folder your file is available?
Temp.
Yeah, you need to map your temporary folder, nothing but your download response. So this is my download file response. So once it is executed, this is my response. ICS file and the load more and properties and load more. So this is my file type, directory, and the file name. So this is my directory. Just drag and drop the directory. This is my directory. Nothing but /temp/download. Or you can hardcode /temp/download, no problem. But avoid the hardcode, or already we are getting a response here. Just try to save it. And what is the file name? This is my file name. Just copy the same. As last, you can change the directory. Instead of directory, you can change the file name here. This is specify the file name. And you can write something file name and save it. This is file name. Just exit expression builder and click on the next. And how to read the data from your file content. In order to read the data, first you need to prepare a schema file for that. Schema file is nothing but you need to provide an instruction for this read file, how to read the data. That is called a schema file. So first we'll try to prepare a schema file. This is testdata.csv, right? So we are in GP10. So this is my test data on CSV. Let me create a folder. This is my file. Now you need to create a schema file. So always do remember when you have an input file with a CSV. When you have an input file with a CSV, straight away you can use the same CSV file as your schema file. Straight away you can use the same CSV file as a schema file. Do not create a separate schema file for this. So I'm trying to read the file in this format. So this is my schema file. If you want to change something, you can change here. I want to go for supply address here. The way you can try to read the data from your file. Okay. So as of now, we are getting an input from a CSV file. Use the same CSV file as a schema file. For example, if you have lakhs of records in your input file, so it's not possible to use the same schema file as a lakhs of records, right? Simply you can use more than one record. Just keep the two records. Keep the two records followed by the heading and save as your schema file. That's it. This is the reference how you want to read the data from your more than one file, more than one record, nothing but it will enable a repeating element for us. If you use only single record, it will treat as a single element. The reason, in order to enable for a for loop, just use a more than one record so that it will consider as a repeating element. Okay. Now here, do you want to specify the structure of the contents of the file? Yes. So what is the structure of the content file is nothing but CSV, XSD, XML, and so on. So in real time, we can use XML, XSD, and CSV. So as of now, you can use a CSV. Mostly for all the integrations, we can use CSV. Just click on the next and select your file. This is my schema file and specify the record name something, supplier record and something, any name, supplier record set. Nothing but with this name, it will create an XML structure for us. And this is by default comma separated values, and mark here, use first row as a column headers. Yes, I need first row as a column header, and mark all as optional, which is by default, it's a mandatory here. If you see all the data you can see here by default mandatory. Supplier name is mandatory, site is mandatory, address 1 mandatory, address 2 mandatory, and country is mandatory. So when you enable all these as mandatory, then at the runtime, you need to map for all these columns. You need to provide a mappings for all these columns. Let's assume in a GL interface FBDA sheet, we are trying to populate only a couple of columns, right? Not all the columns, right? So the way when you enable mark all as optional, just when you enable all as optional, you can keep any one of the column as mandatory. Just click on the mandatory supplier name. The rest of the column, you can provide the mappings as per your wish. It won't accept the mappings for the rest of the columns. Only it will accept the mapping for supplier number. The rest of are optional. If you have a mappings, you can map it. Otherwise, you can ignore it. Otherwise, when you disable mark all as optional, 100% you need to provide the mappings for all the columns at runtime. Just click on the next, and you can see the format definition is NXSD schema. By default, the CSV file can be converted as your XSD schema file. This is called XSD schema file. Either you can use CSV schema file, either you can prepare an XSD schema file. This is your XML file. This is end of line and supplier record set. We are given the name, right? This is supplier record. Supplier record. This is my supplier record. I have 4 columns: supplier name, string, terminated by comma. Okay, and at the last column, it will show as a terminated by end of line. Okay, and here max occurs is unbounded. Max occurs unbounded is nothing but we have more than one record. More than one record. You can save this as a XSD. Supplier schema.xsd. It's the same as your CSV representation. At last, your integration will convert your CSV to XSD schema. Either you can use this file in order to read the data, either you can use CSV file in order to read the data. Okay. Just click on the done. Just save it. So this is my read file. This is my read file. Now, when it will try to read the data, so what is the outcome here? Response, nothing but if you have 100 records in your flight file, it will try to download 100. It will try to read your 100 records in your temporary buffer area, which is /temp/download. And now your 100 records in your temporary folder. It's time to read the data. It's time to print your file content. For example, 100 records are there. I want to print each record. So what I need to add here? Action item? For loop. Just add in a for loop for your read file. So what is the repeating element? Just your read file response. So this is my read file. Yeah, this is my read file response. Supplier record set and supplier record. Since we are added in a schema file more than one record, the reason repeating element got enabled here. If you expand the same, you can see same as your CSV elements here. Okay. Now each record, for each record, just click on the create. Now add a logger inside. Something supplier name. I'm trying to print the supplier name. Just click on the create always. So what is the for loop? For each file rec is nothing but for file. This is my supplier record for each record. So I have supplier name, site, and so on. So I'm trying to print the supplier name here. Just drag and drop for loop. Now I'm trying to hear what we have done as of now. Download the file to your temporary folder. From the temporary folder, I'm trying to read the data by using schema file. So I have bunch of records in my read file as a response. For that response, adding in a for loop. In a for loop, I'm trying to print my file name. So what it will do? First file, it will download the file and print your file name. And the second file, second iteration, we have two files set. Again, download the file to the same temporary folder and try to print the data. Now test it. This is two iterations done. Whenever you are in for loop, the flow is not highlighted. Okay, it won't be highlighted. View activity stream. This is iteration 1. Inside iteration, if you see here, this is download the file and this is download response. Message received from download response. If you see the response, your file in /temp/download. The file name is test.csv. And payload received from the read file. Immediately we have read file. Payload received from the read file. You see, this is my read file. This is supplier record set 1. Supplier record and one more supplier record. This is completed file data. Okay. Now begin for each payload iteration. For this, we have added a for loop, right? So log message is supplier name AAA, BBB, CCC, something DDD. We have 4 records. 4 records are successfully printed, and it is go to the next iteration, second iteration, and the downloading the file and printing the same data from the second file. And at last, it will printing your file count, the rest of flow. Okay. This is how to download a file and how to read the file by using schema file. Okay. Very first time, it's not possible to understand the concept. Keep on practice the same. Keep on practicing. Do not add the complete steps in your integration. Try to add one step and test it the same. Test the integration and try to verify the response. Okay. Do not add the complete flow while practicing. Yeah, tell me.
Exactly. activity stream, only the outermost for loop is seen as iteration, right?
Sorry.
In the activity screen, only the outermost for loop is shown as iteration.
Yeah, iterations, exactly.
Only the outermost for loop is shown. So the inner for loops are not shown.
Yeah. You can see the complete for loop over there, right? With the concept of iteration. There you can find as iteration, nothing but a for loop.
Yeah, but we have another for loop inside that. So for that,
Yeah,
it
that
does
is
not
also
show as
printed, right?
iteration. Yeah, it is printed, but that does not come under the header of iteration, right? Not with a separate.
This is the main iteration. Inside the main iteration, we have one more iteration in there.
Yeah.
It will print.
Okay.
Activity stream. Once it is done, for your file for loop can be exited and it is printed file count. The rest of flow. So in your practice, first add the list of files and verify the response. What is the response you are getting? Then after, add the for loop and print a log message, same which I did, and print your test your integration. Then after, add the download activity and test your integration, verify the response what you are getting. And for that download file, add your read file and test your integration, what is the response you are getting. You need to understand what is the request and what is the response. If you are clear this concept, integration is very easy to development. Until unless if you are know this, what is your response, what is your request. Add one by one step and try to test your integration so that you can easily understand this concept. It's not possible to understand this concept in a single session, in 1 hour. Keep on practice, okay? Okay, that's it for today. Tomorrow we'll see the more. Any doubts, any clarification?